In this video, we're going to look at how to properly adjust and fit the Metasplint, also known as a spoon splint, to your patients. On the forelimbs, the spoon splint can be used for problems with the paws or digits, the metacarpal region, the carpus, and the distal radius and ulna. On the hind limb, it can be used for problems with the digits and paw, as well as the metatarsals. And that's it. There are two types of commercially available spoon splints, the green splints and the blue splints. That's what I call them. Let's focus on the green splint. The green splint is more shallow, it's a little bit wider, and it has adjustable length. You can see the grooves that allow it to adjust. Now, it does have a spacing in what should be the strength part of the splint, which tends to weaken it. Now, the blue splints do not come in an adjustable length, but you can use a hacksaw to cut them down to the appropriate size. They are deeper in contour and a little bit narrower, but they also have a reinforcement in the body of the splint, which does tend to make it a stronger splint. Now, my personal preference is the green splint, not because it's better, but it's because what I am used to using. Let's look at how you have to make adjustments for the different types of splints in order to make them fit your patient. The splint needs to be wide enough to fit or cradle the bandaged limb. So it's best to apply your bandage and then find the appropriate width of splint that's going to fit. Note how this green splint here just cradles the edges of our bandaged limb. That's how it should be. Now, in this particular picture, a little bit difficult to see, but I'm trying to fit the blue splint to my bandaged limb. I tend to pad my bandages very well, and my splint doesn't quite cradle the limb. It just kind of sits almost on top of the limb. So I would have to adjust this bandage by removing some padding, making it slightly less padded. That doesn't make it a lesser bandage. It just means I am adjusting my padding so that the limb can nicely fall into the splint and be cradled by the splint. For the length, you usually have a pretty good idea of how high up you want the splint to go. A good rule of thumb is one joint above the lesion, but depending on where the lesion is, you may have a predetermined length. Just identify how high you want the splint to go, and with the green splints, you can just break them off in one of the predetermined grooves. With the blue splint, you can always use a hacksaw to shorten the splint. Watch the video that follows. We use a hacksaw to cut a splint down to size. What's more important is the fit at the toes. It is really important that the splint cradles the toes, that the dog will actually be walking on the splint and that the toes will not be touching the ground. So ensure that the splint cradles the toes properly, the entire pads, and that the toes aren't sticking over the splint. That's probably the most important part when dealing with the splint length. To cut a Metasplint to size, you really don't necessarily need to have a hacksaw, but in this particular case, we are picking a size that isn't falling into one of the regular grooves of the Metasplint. And this little hacksaw, which you can get at any hardware store, will do a great job for cutting through the Metasplint. Other than that, you would just really break it by bending in one of the pre-existing grooves. To decide how long your splint should be, you place it on your patient where it ought to be and just mark the length that you need. It is not a precise length. There's room for error in all of these. Once you have cut it down to the size, make sure you cut the points. Even if you use the grooves that are already made, those are sharp points. So we always use scissors and cut them down. And then use some form of white tape to wrap the cut edge. Again, even if it's in one of the grooves, because that plastic becomes sharp. I hope you found this video helpful. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.